Are you a goal setter? Doesn't matter if you are, even if you prefer not to set goals, resolutions, whatever you want to call them, for the new year. I will encourage you to think about having an end of the year review. You can do this in as much of a structured format or completely informal as you want. The point of it, as always, is the process, not necessarily how you do it. Now, the process part that I'm stressing is that you are going to cover the things that I'm going to talk about in a second. Some people love to do this in an actual formal sit down, spread out all of the materials you've gone through this year, have your planner there to look at, look over past social media, whole day of thought and planning. Sure, that works for some people. Others, really myself included, prefer more of a think about these things in the back of your head as you're walking the dog, meditating, exercising, going about your day, and then taking maybe an hour or two at the end of the year to write them down or to think about what you want to be doing going forward. The point is, you do not have to make this into a big deal. A lot of the reason why people shy away from it is that they don't want to spend that whole day doing it. And if you don't, that's no problem. Here are the things, however, that I want you to have in the back of your head as we're finishing up this year. The first is to reflect and to celebrate. I always talk about how important it is to talk about the wins along the way. I also want to stress how important it is to talk about celebrating the progress. So if you are working on a big project, make sure you're celebrating the markers that you're hitting along the way. It will help you feel more fulfilled at the end of it, and honestly will help you feel happier. It also will make it a little bit better for you to avoid burnout in your work if you are doing things like that. At the end of the year, it's a great opportunity for you to look over all of the things that you did, add up all of the accomplishments, but also look at the failures. Why didn't you get things done that you wanted to? Why did things not work? And then you want to start thinking about, well, why did I win at some things and accomplish some things and fail and not accomplish other things? This is really important in our brains to, one, not only get used to failure and want to go after failure, but two, be analytically looking at that as data and to be looking at it as, when I approach something like this next time, what will I do differently? The next is to think about the things that worked and that didn't work. So this isn't even like I accomplished something. This could be well, I have noticed that I would like to meditate all the time, but I never seem to be able to put aside the meditating time or things like that. It could even be I have a planner and I will use it for 4 days and then I stop using it. And then I find I come back to it. At the beginning of the month, get all excited about social media and I'm trying to post. And then by the end of the month, I've stopped. So look at what's not working. Why? Because if you don't look at what's not working, you don't know how to correct it. But also look at the things that really are working. When I first started diving into goal setting, I always said, but where do the things go that you do? Meaning, what happens if you do get an exercise routine and you stick with it year after year after year? Where do you put that on your list? What about if you are doing your planner every single day and it really helps you and you feel proud of that? So I'm a big fan of during your review, make sure you're saying, yeah, that's working really well. I love my planner system right now. I love the way I'm managing my day, or this really isn't working. I could use some help on it. And the second side of that is kind of a stop start list idea. One, what do you want to start doing? And that could be anything from maybe setting a goal or a resolution, but it could also be about setting those daily habits or those small changes that you want to do. But on the flip side of that, we all understand we want to start things. What about a stop doing list? And sure, that could be big things like I want to stop smoking or something like that. But it also could be I want to stop, let's say, I have a big problem. I do not pause to have lunch. I tend to work right through it and then I'm really hungry and cranky by the end of the day. I don't feel that well. If I would just stop and spend 20 minutes having a nutritious lunch, I probably would feel better. So that is an example of that. It could also be stop checking your email every 15 minutes. Oh, how many of us have that problem? I do get the flip side of that though, because then you often get very overwhelmed when it all piles up. So there is a balance of understanding how often you should check without becoming obsessed with it. So your end of the year review is really about going over your data from the year, understanding how you're working at things, understanding not only your wins and your losses, but why you had wins and losses. Not only looking at what's working and what's not working, but looking at what you want to stop doing and what you want to start doing. If you do choose then to maybe lay out some either goals or some milestones that you want to hit, that's great. It's a great preparation for doing that. And if not, that's fine too. Really, everybody has their different ways they want to do it. I will say, as a tiny business owner, I do often encourage my fellow talented tiny business owners to think about setting some sort of goal so they know to start that made no sense. They know how to start, or you know how to start understanding what you need to be doing each week, month, or even day. And that often helps provide that framework. Start with the review. It may encourage you to take the next step and start setting out those maybe monthly, weekly, daily top 3 priorities. If not, that's fine too. And if you want to come and share them with us, join us in the Doers, Shakers, Makers Facebook group. It's free. You are welcome to join. And it is a place where we love to share not only our, of course, wins and successes and things we want to stop and start doing, but each week and month we do share our top 3 items. Well, have a wonderful week. You've been back with me, Sierra Bailey, for another business tip. I will see you next week. Good luck with your review.